Hello, Matilda and Ben. Today I'm going to read you a book about a little boy whose name is Hugo. And Hugo has a super good imagination. But Hugo was also sick and needed to be in hospital. And now he's kind of ready to go home. So that's the name of the book, Going Home. So imagine if you had to spend some time in a hospital, you'd probably want to be going home too. You'd want to have lots of things in your imagination to keep you entertained. So look at the cover of the picture and think, what is Hugo's imagination? What's he thinking about? What's this? What's this? What's this? Do you think that's his imagination, or do you think Hugo lives with these animals? And if you open the book further and see the back page, and look, it has pictures of bigger animals. Can you name those animals? Okay, let's read the story. Here's Hugo. He looks like he's a really good friend with that animal. What kind of animal is that? Hugo is in a small hospital right next to the zoo. He's much better and he wants to go home. Soon, says the doctor. But how soon is soon? He sure looks ready to go home, doesn't he? And the doctor says soon. Cheer up, it won't be long now, says Nurse Benny. Come and play cards, says Simon in the next bed. So he's in the hospital with 3 beds in the room. This is a really good show, says Nirmala, who watches TV all the time. So Nirmala likes to watch television. But Hugo shakes his head and he stares out the window. There's Hugo. Right now, Mum would be putting on the kettle and his little sister Kathy will be playing dress up. And his fat cat, Lucy, will be napping in the sun. Look at him looking out the window. So Hugo stares out the window, listening to the animal noises that float up from the zoo. That's a fun thing to be looking out the window at. What a racket, says Nurse Benny. But Hugo's eyes widen because an elephant is shrieking something special, a message just for him. Come home with me, shrieks the elephant. So Hugo puts on his slippers and goes. He and the elephant amble through the African grasslands where lions play rough and tumble games, and herds of wildebeests migrate across the plains. So these are the lions, and over here, these are herds of wildebeest. So when you go to Africa, there's thousands and thousands of them running across the savannah together. And he's riding an elephant. Do you think this is his imagination, or do you think Hugo really is riding an elephant? When Hugo's family comes to visit, Mum asks as usual, "What have you been up to?" "Quite a lot," says Hugo. "I went to Africa." "Lucky you," says Mum. "It's not fair," says Kathy. "I only went to kindergarten." So Hugo makes her a little paper elephant with floppy ears. Well, that's a pretty neat paper elephant. There's a pencil and he's done a drawing of a person. And there's the elephant. And there's Mum. There she is. See the children? The next day, Simon is building a house out of cards, and Nirmala is still watching TV. Hugo stares out his window and listens again. Look at how he's doing cards here. See this? He has got his cards and he's stacking them up. That's a hard thing to do. You might want to try it, but it might be very, very difficult. But he's making little card houses. And you can see, looking out the window, watching the zoo, and look at Nirmala. She's watching TV. I think he's got a good idea. And I think Hugo's going to be looking out at the zoo and thinking nice things. The elephant is silent, but the howler monkey is roaring. Come home with me. So Hugo puts on his slippers and he goes. And there he's going off with the howler monkey. He and the howler monkey swing through the tree tops of the Amazon jungle, where sloths sleep upside down and the emerald tree boa hides in the leaves and toucans gobble berries. Look at the beautiful toucans. And look at the howler monkey. Do you think he's really in the Amazon? The Amazon's across the ocean from Africa. It's in South America. When his family comes to visit, Mom asks, "Where did you go today?" "Quite far," said Hugo. "I went to the Amazon jungle." "Lucky, lucky you," sighs Mom. "It's not fair," says Kathy. "I only went to the corner shop." So Hugo makes her a monkey puppet, then wiggles on her finger. A monkey puppet that wiggles on her finger. Maybe you guys can make a monkey puppet for your fingers. You can ask Mommy to help you. Here, look at the monkey puppet. I'm not sure if you can make one or not. I'd like to see it if you do. The next day, after Hugo has played cards with Simon and watched a bit of TV with Nirmala, he stares out the window and very faintly he can hear the snow leopard growling. Come home with me." So Hugo puts on his slippers and goes. That must be his imagination, because I think it would be pretty dangerous to be riding a snow leopard. They're very, very, very vicious creatures. They're wild creatures. He wraps his arms around the snow leopard's neck, and they hurtle through the snow and ice high in the Himalaya mountains, where eagle-eyed birds soar above the slopes. And there's some birds. And there he's riding on the snow leopard. Those are the biggest mountains in the entire world, the Himalayas. When his family comes to visit, Mom asks, "Been traveling again?" "Yes," said Hugo, "I went to the Himalayas." Kathy stamps her foot. "Not fair. I only went to the park." So Hugo makes her a leopard mask, and she growls and shows her claws. Well, that would be a fun thing to make, a leopard mask. I like the way Hugo's helping his little sister, because she is jealous that he's gone so many places. He didn't really go anywhere, but Kathy thinks he has. So Hugo's made a mask and a puppet finger and an elephant paper, a paper elephant. The next day, when Hugo is just about to put on his slippers and leave for India, Nurse Benny says, "Surprise! Your Mom and Kathy are here. It's time to go home." "Come back and visit me," says Simon. "I wish I were going home too," says Nirmala, as she watches TV harder than ever. She's just engrossed in her television. And he is still playing with his cards. And it looks like Hugo is going to go home. And look out the window, you can see the zoo. "Tell you both a secret," says Hugo. And he whispers in their ears. What do you think the secret he's telling them is? I think the secret is that it's all imagination. He travels in his head. And since you people are stuck a little bit at home and can't travel too much right now because of everyone being stuck in their homes, you can use your imagination and travel and visit places. You could pretend you could be visiting the ferry ride. You could pretend you're on a ferry ride, or you could pretend you're visiting me. You could pretend you're at my house and playing with my toys here. Or you could pretend you're camping in a tent. And you could make a tent and pretend it's real, and pretend you're on a camping adventure. That night when Hugo is snuggled up in his own bed, in his own house at last, Nirmala and Simon put on their slippers. Oh, they're still at the hospital. And they heard Simon say it's all in their imagination. And look, Nirmala and Simon run with the tiger through the forests of India. What a beautiful story. And they're beautiful pictures. And there's some activities you could do. You could make an elephant, or you could make a monkey puppet, or you could make a tent and pretend you're camping in the mountains. Or you could pretend to be having tea with Grandma, Rancy. You could do all those things, and they can all happen in your mind when you're at home. Because Simon was stuck in the hospital and he had to pretend everything. So you could too. Love you too. Bye-bye.